I love the Madden video game series. Perhaps I should rephrase that. I love what the Madden video game series could be, and what we all know that it could be. In an attempt to shed light on some glaring errors that have been in the game for numerous years now, I made this video where I miraculously found 63 things wrong with franchise mode alone, and believe me, there are more things wrong that I actually missed this first go. The goal of this video is to, again, shed light, raise awareness, and hopefully somebody from EA sees it and understands where we're coming from. I know this isn't the best timing given that Madden 23 details had just dropped today, but I figure, it's better late than never, and it's our duty as the consumer, if someone for some reason decides to buy Madden 23, that they refer back to this video and see that nothing is going to change. I just know it, and it's a freaking absolute shame. So, without any further ado, let's dive into the 63 things I found wrong with franchise mode. When it comes to starting point, I have an option to do preseason, regular season, or a fantasy draft. My big problem with this is if I want to do an offline franchise, there's no reason why I can't do, a current week like on an online, or why I can't just jump to a specific week. Maybe I want to start in week 2 or week 3 or something random like that. It's not unfathomable that that could be an option. As far as roles go, yeah, I could be a player, or I could be an owner, I could be a coach. Why not a GM? Which is what everybody wants to do. So it's pretty neat that you could create a coach, but when I want to do the role of an owner, I should be able to make my own owner. It would be cool to see that owner on the sidelines or up in the press box. Okay, I guess we could start with the layout here. Not the greatest. Look at goals on the right, far right over there. I've never even noticed that. My eye isn't drawn to that. I don't care about the goals because I don't care about really franchise points, which we'll get into later. But that's a lot of screen real estate that could go towards something like that I would actually use. If there's any franchise player that even references this news section, maybe you'll check it for the draft stories to get some insight on some computer-generated players. This is doing nothing for me. Rich Eisen talking about not even my team. What are we doing here? The stats and awards should be much easier to access because this is like the cool stuff people care about. This is a statistical league. You're only as good as your last stat, your last game, and how you perform. This should be at the forefront. And it's really cool that we have these NFL records, but there are more than just passing yards, touchdowns, and rushing yards, touchdowns. Like, there's more records than this that are broken every week, every season. We should have that data. And when it comes to legacy boards, it might be an issue with using, like, former player and Hall of Famer players' names, but, like, where's Joe Montana? I want to see how I stack up against Steve Young, Jim Brown. Like, where are those guys? Okay, managed staff. We'll go ahead and we'll do franchise staff. We know what they were trying to do here. They were trying to give us the offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, which is what we've been asking for. But I gotta tell you, it does nothing for us. These guys, yeah, you could go in the talent tree and you can give them some attributes and beef up your team a little bit. But if I replace Chris Roberts, who is an offensive scheme of West Coast zone run, with somebody with a different scheme, my playbook doesn't change. I have to go in and manually change it. Your offensive coordinator is supposed to be the guy, calling the plays for you. Same could be said about the defensive coordinator. And by the way, these aren't real names. Maybe that's a tricky thing contract-wise that they couldn't get settled. But OCs and DCs will go on to become head coaches. And in this game, you can't hire OCs and DCs to be your head coaches. And you can't go in and edit them to become head coaches or anything like that. You also can't make former head coaches offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators. That's not unfathomable. Dan Quinn is a perfect example. Player personnel, I guess, is supposed to be your GM, or at least your front office as a whole. You can buy these little upgrades. I really couldn't tell you if they work or not towards anything. Maybe they just make you feel good, but I mean, I don't know what to say. Maybe the most annoying thing is seeing that little red dot next to manage staff when I have staff points ready to spend. I might be the only person, but like when I have an app on my phone with like my emails, let's say I have like 32 emails or 5 text messages, I can't stand to look at those. I know that I need to clear them ASAP. I think probably the most annoying part when you have staff points that will buy you nothing, you still get the red dot. I cannot buy anything with 1 staff point. I can't buy anything with, I think, 5 staff points. I think the cheapest thing you could buy with a staff point is like 6 points. So why am I getting alerted that I have staff points that I can't even spend? Okay, scouting college players, we could be here all freaking day. So here are our top 5 guys, and you know, we're 35% scouted on this guy. I'm sure by the end of the season, we will maybe be 50%, 60% scouted on somebody. How does that even happen? How do we not know this guy's archetype right out of the gate? All you need to do is watch half of a game somebody to be able to tell what kind of player they are at their position. Is it a scrambling quarterback? Is he a pocket quarterback? Does he have a big arm? You know, we should be able to just tell that stuff right off of the bat. Why is it such a big mystery to get information on these guys? And I know that no one is a guarantee. No one is a guaranteed X Factor, superstar star. But you should get some sort of indication that that guy has that sort of development trait. The regional stuff and making sure your scouts are in the right spots, like, it's confusing beyond all heck. If I've got a tight end scout and I'm screwed because there's no good tight ends in the draft, I can't do anything about it. Which, is it real life that teams only hire scouts for one particular position and then tell them, well, I know you're a tight end scout, but why don't you go and look for some offensive linemen for me? Is that really the truth? Because I can't even fathom that that is the truth. But that's how Madden operates. So I've got a tight end guy doing my national focus, and he's not a strength in this draft class, so it's doing nothing for me. But this also isn't college either. I understand colleges scout by region. If you look at any particular college, you'll see that they get a lot of high schoolers committing from a certain states or areas. In the NFL, it's national. Heck, it's international. Why am I worried about the quarterbacks in Florida versus the quarterbacks in California? We have all of this information at the tip of our fingers, all of this game film, all of these nationally televised games. Why do I need to put all of my focus on a specific region for a specific position when there's a lot of great guys all over the place? The only problem with the adjust lineup screen is that it's been the same as it's been since like forever, as long as I can remember playing Madden. There's nothing new here. We've had the scheme fit feature, which, you know, it makes you feel good to have that little puzzle piece on the top left of somebody's icon, but like, truly, what does it do for me? I see that this West Coast zone run is 75% of a scheme fit, but if I go ahead and change it, yeah, oh wow, the Titans actually should be running multiple zone run because according to Madden, that's a better scheme fit, but it in no way changes my playbook. So what does it do for me besides just give me like rewards that are untangible? The offensive scheme should directly correlate with your offensive playbook is what I'm saying. And there should be a much easier way of recognizing who your team captains are without having to go in and maybe you'll see the C next to their overall, or maybe you'll see the C on their jersey, which is not the case here. Because on this screen, I can't tell who any of the captains are. Is Derrick Henry a captain? He better be. And yeah, he is. Also, there should be like some sort of reward for making somebody your captain. Maybe they get a little bit of an overall boost. Maybe their morale is boosted. Whatever the heck that even does for you. There should be something of a bonus. It's quite an honor to be called a captain on your football team. And I guess now's as good a time as any to bring this up. We got to get rid of right defensive end, left outside linebacker, right outside linebacker. All the positions like need a new name. We need edge in this game. We need, you know, our cornerbacks are numbered down here. They're not numbered when you look at them on the roster or the depth chart. That all matters. You know, Madden needs to stop forcing teams to get a fullback. You could add a fullback in like a specialist column, but some teams don't even have a fullback. There's a difference between a halfback, a running back, and a tailback. We don't have those options. As an owner, I understand that you have a lot of power outside of just managing your team. You want to manage your stadium and all the finances and all that. I could literally go 10 years without going into managed team and adjusting anything and everything still being copacetic. Right now, my stadium rating is 10. I won't touch it and nothing will happen. I get that people on the side here are going to be upset. I will have no repercussions. Maybe the worst part on this whole page is the option to relocate. Relocating is a really fun and exciting idea, but when it's the same cities every year with the same boring team names and ugly logos and uniforms, there's no point in doing this. There's no point in exploring this game mode any further. They've been in the game for the past 5 years. Same with these finances. I could finick with the ticket sales and all that garbage, but nothing ends up happening. It doesn't matter if nobody buys any of the stuff. I'll just leave everything default and nothing will go awry. By the way, this stuff hasn't changed either. This has all been the same stuff that you can tweak and do your stuff. Nothing is new here. As far as marketing goes, I can just click on this stuff and look at it and it means nothing. For some reason, Julio Jones is our most popular player, and also our backup of the backup of our tight end. That makes a lot of sense. I'll draft a rookie quarterback and he'll be the MVP of the whole season and he won't end up on this list sometimes. It doesn't make any sense. As far as playing the game, I personally like to play the moments, and even that has its problems. The game will maybe sim through the whole first 3 quarters before you get to even play. That's all broken. There should be an option, though, if I'm a coach, to just choose to play as the coach. EA used to have a game called NFL Head Coach where you were the head coach and you would call the plays and you would have to watch your team execute the plays. And either, it was a completed pass or it was an incomplete pass, or the run got you a first down or it didn't. It was a really unique way to experience the NFL in that fashion. There should be an option like that. As far as advancing weeks go, I don't understand why I only have the option to sim to the midseason or to the playoffs. I should be able to sim 1 week, 2 weeks, or any specific week. There's just no reason why that's not there. I could also sim to the Super Bowl or the offseason or the draft. Or, I could sim 10 years. I don't know why anyone would want to do that, but that's something you could do. Breakout player, by the way, all these texts with the coach. I'm an owner. I don't know why he's talking to me like I'm his coach. The way that these messages have come up, it's always the same exact thing. There's no nuance. All the players talk to the coach the same exact way, same exact literature here. Just get a little creative. So we need to hold the Seahawks to less than 200 passing yards, or we need any of these other things. There should be a ticker on the top right when I'm playing the game to show if I'm achieving these goals or not, and there won't be. Mock drafts are a cool idea. Only problem is where these players end up going. In my experience, the draft goes pretty much precisely to mock draft 5. In what universe do the Chargers need a quarterback right now? Same with the Jets. The Jets just drafted a quarterback in Zach Wilson. But guess what? These guys are going to get drafted to them anyway, and it's going to ruin the trajectory of the rest of your franchise mode. Here's another thing. We can land a man on the moon. We can generate a smart enough AI for these CPU teams to trade up their draft picks. This past year, we had the most first round trades in NFL history, yet there's never any CPU generated trades that happen in the game. I think it'll add a lot more excitement, diversify these mocks, and make the league just as unpredictable as it is in real life. As far as negotiating contracts, one of the big things about contracts in the NFL nowadays is how much of the money is, you guessed it, guaranteed. We don't have any of that here. All of this money apparently is guaranteed to the players. That doesn't make any sense. Also, Patrick Mahomes got a 10-year deal. I know he's kind of like a unicorn-type player, but the most you can give a player is a 7-year contract. Now look at the team needs for the Bears. Quarterback right there, dab in the middle. They don't need a quarterback. They just drafted Justin Fields. Another thing when it comes to trading, why am I restricted to trading only 3 players and or draft picks? We've seen deals done with 4 or 5 assets in the trade. Why am I restricted to only 3? And why am I restricted to only this year's and next year's draft picks? There are trades that have draft picks, 3 first-round picks for the next 3 years we've seen, and I don't have that option. Playoff bracket is fine. It'd be cool to see or be able to access quickly teams' records so you have an idea of just how dangerous they are. Yearly awards. That makes a lot of sense. So my problem is that these awards are divided between AFC and NFC. In reality, there aren't 2 offensive players of the year, 1 from each conference. There's just 1 offensive player of the year. Same with the rookies of the year. Like Micah Parsons was the defensive rookie of the year. He wasn't the NFC defensive rookie of the year. He was the defensive rookie of the year of the whole league. And there's no award for the best quarterback, best running back. What also doesn't make any sense is there's a best wide receiver, but there's no best tight end. And, tight ends have become a pretty crucial part of the game in today's league. However, we have a best kicker for some reason. What there is, however, are first All-Pro teams and second All-Pro teams. And maybe that's what, we get the top 11 or I guess 22 offensive and defensive players. And that'll be cool to reward those players like that. Maybe that's a fun alternative. Here's another note. I get that this guy's a long snapper. Let's give him the long snapper position instead of slotting him in tight end, because when you go to your depth chart and you set your long snapper, by default it just goes to your top lineman. Having a 33 overall tight end on my team does nothing for me. When it comes to cutting players, that's the first player to go. Free agency period, we've got a 98 overall X factor in his prime, and you're telling me only 1 team is going after him? When I look at the retirements, I should be alerted if a key player on my team retires. I shouldn't just go to my adjust lineup and see that my all-star player has miraculously disappeared. Okay, the Jets are up. What are they going to do? And they draft a quarterback. And that quarterback that the Jets drafted, well, because he's 69, he's their second-string quarterback who will never get any playing time, so it was a waste of a top 10 draft pick. He also has a hidden dev, which means he could have gone to any other team and been an asset. Patriots went and did the same thing. 74 overall rookie quarterback, that's really good. Hidden dev as well. They have Matt Jones. This was completely unnecessary. So we're post-draft, and a team like the Vikings here has 5 quarterbacks. It's ridiculously unrealistic. This draft class stuff gets extremely more frustrating when you're trying to use realistic draft classes, which I personally really enjoy doing. I think it's a wonderful feature. Let me go ahead and download one from the Madden share. Oh wait, I haven't been able to since launch. So I'll just edit this one. And first of all, let me just say it's a really cool tool, and I'm thankful for this feature. It's just a bear to construct these draft classes. Back in the NCAA game, if you wanted to create a team, you had to do it all online, and you had to create the roster online and type in all their overalls and stuff. That workflow is actually extremely simple, and when you're working with a lot of numbers like you are with these players' overalls, being able to fill that all out on a database online or fill it all out on a Excel spreadsheet and maybe upload it somewhere, that would make this so much simpler and give me more time to actually play the game than worry about making these draft classes just so perfect. When it goes to picking a guy's college, yeah, I guess this speeds up when you hold it down, but there should be like some sort of search bar for me to just be able to more easily identify a university, because a lot of these aren't even in alphabetical order. I'm sure EA has heard the complaints that there aren't enough, new faces, and I guess they gave us some, but, it's whatever. As far as the equipment goes, I'm really glad that we have a lot to choose from. My only problem is now the NFL regulates a specific type of helmet. For instance, you know, the Rydell Revolution, I don't think is a helmet you're allowed to use anymore. I'm glad that we have the option, because if I want to make like a throwback class, like this is something Peyton Manning used to wear, I have the option. But the problem is on these generated draft classes is that because everything's randomized, there will be a lot of players wearing the Rydell Revolution helmet, and it just takes the realism out of the game a little bit. The sleeve temperature thing, I don't know about you guys. I've always found it really tricky to really understand. The higher up it is, the more likely they're going to wear the sleeves, or the lower it is, the more likely. That doesn't really make sense to me. You know, it would help if that was simplified, I guess. It's really cool that we have turf tape in the game, but there should be an option to let us do both tape and the sleeve at the same time. We've seen players do it. It shouldn't be impossible to, you know, make happen. Are hand warmers outdated? I see players using almost hand warmers inside of their jersey now, but what I do see is the kind of coach's armband on their belts that looks almost like a hand warmer as well. Also their towel, I usually see the towel kind of on people's backsides, not so often in the front. And when it comes to choosing, you know, primary colors or secondary colors for gloves and shoes and stuff, it's really tricky to get an idea of what everything looks like when you have to use the base set for a quote-unquote free agent player, because blue and white are your only two options, and, you know, I can choose between black, white, primary, or secondary, and when your secondary is white and you have the option to choose, it just, you know, doesn't give me a really good idea of what things look like, if that makes sense. All these player traits and stuff, you know, does the player throw the ball away? Does he sense the pressure and all of that? If I'm controlling him, does this stuff even matter? Is it more so for the sim? And if so, can we have some proof that that is really what it's for? Or is this just kind of like, you know, not really connected to anything? I'm just more curious than angry. That has been happening the last couple of years. You know, why is that such a glitch that I need to go in and do it twice? And the fact that it's the same glitches proves to me that they're just taking the same game from last year and adding on to it when they really should be starting anew, especially if they're not going to make any of the changes. Practice squad, it's a cool idea, but really what does it do for me? Because all that ever happens are players on my practice squad getting signed from under my nose. You know, I think the more talented your practice squad is should elevate your starting team, because that's who they go up against in practice every week. There should be more of a reward system for your practice squad, because you can go several seasons without anybody in your practice squad and not have any consequences. That little glitch right there, it's been in the game for as long as I can remember, is just another piece of evidence that this has just been the same game recycled every single year. I counted, so you didn't have to, that's 63 problems I found in Madden NFL 22's franchise mode. This video isn't meant to be a whiny complaint. I'm just trying to bring attention to simple things that should have been fixed a long time ago. I really hope people who watched all the way through, who love the game as much as I do, find things that they either agree with or that I might have missed, and if so, I implore that you drop a comment and help identify what else can be adjusted to make this game as great as we all know it can be.